As Bears fans, Ben Johnson has literally saved our lives. We're going to talk about that next, coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. 8 games into the Ben Johnson era, and I got to say, this guy has transformed this franchise, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the football. We're going to explain it all and dive into a lot of numbers and just discussion about that. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. It's been incredible to see what this offense has become literally overnight. Now, it's 8 games in. A big game against the Bengals can certainly loft some numbers up, but for the majority of this season, this has been a well above average offense, which is a huge upgrade, what we're used to in Chicago. I mean, look at these numbers, man. 6th in points per game, 10th in passing yards, 2nd in rushing yards, 8th on 3rd down. Red zone's been a big talking point. 25th now. They had a really bad 4-game stretch before this last game against the Bengals, which they went 4 for 6 in the red zone in terms of converting touchdowns. That's a much better number, 66%. If you're in that range, you're doing a lot better. They started 6 for 7 early in the year, 5 for 16 stretch, and then 4 for 6 yesterday. So hopefully they get closer to what they were early in the season. Yesterday was a good stretch in that regard. Nate Tice had this note on social media. He said the most explosive offense in the NFL so far this season. You guessed it, the Chicago Bears with a 14.1% explosive play rate. That is per True Media Sports. Quick math, that is out of every 7 plays you run, 1 is an explosive. And again, for those who don't know, or if you need a reminder, an explosive play is defined as follows: either a 10-plus yard run or a 20-plus yard scramble. They are getting one of those 1 out of every 7 plays on average. That is pretty damn impressive, especially considering where this franchise has been literally our entire lives. More from Nate Tice here on this analytical info. Sack rate, 5th. That speaks to Caleb Williams improving in terms of avoiding sacks, but also the improved offensive line. Turnovers per play, 1st. They're not turning the ball over, guys. That's really important. Success rate, 13th. They're 3rd in rushing, which is really impressive. Explosive play rate. He put 2nd here. The initial tweet was 1st, so I don't know if there's a distinction, if it's a slightly different stat, but either way, 1st or 2nd. Yards per play, 4th. EPA per play, 7th. And that's expected points added. So every time you run a play, you add blank amount of points. It's a small decimal number, but you want to be high in that percentage. EPA per rush, 3rd. EPA per drop back, 8th. So your top 10 both in rushing and passing EPA there. And then Suplex, which is success rate plus explosive play rate, 6th. Your top 7 in a bunch of nerdy advanced analytical stats that we know Ben Johnson and his staff calculate, and a lot of these teams do. Guys, this is the Chicago Bears. The offense has been horrible our entire lives. And yes, Caleb needs to be better in certain areas. He's still growing. We got to be patient. But, you're already ranking pretty high in a lot of these stats, and we all can acknowledge that there's more to be had. What Ben Johnson has done literally overnight, we're 8 games into year 1, and their top 10 in a lot of metrics is pretty unbelievable, especially given the history of this franchise. So I don't know if you could really ask for more for what this guy has done in half a season as this team's head coach. It's really, really impressive. If you love Ben Johnson, if you're fired up that he's here, hit that like button. I'm fired up. He was my top candidate for a reason, and he's even blown me away based on my expectations. And again, the best part is it can be better. They're still having pre-snap penalties. Caleb Williams is still far from perfect. Never going to be perfect, but there's clear room to grow there. This offense could be incredible. It's already very good. Caleb's having a good season, but clearly the accuracy needs to be higher. There's no question about that. 61.5%. I know they set a lofty goal of 70. That's clearly not going to happen at this point. But if we could get to the end of the season, even just 63, 64, with how explosive this offense is, and that's where you kind of make up for the accuracy issues. If you generate explosives, which Caleb does throwing the ball and with some scrambles, and obviously Ben does with his run calls, you can kind of live. You don't want to live with those numbers at 61.5, but you can overcome some of those accuracy woes when you're generating explosives. He's taking steps forward, but there's a lot more potential that he can reach. Like, he is far from a finished product. We're 8 games in with him and Ben, with Caleb in a real offense, by the way. It was not a real offense last year. And you're seeing signs of growth, but understanding that there's still a lot more growth to be had, and that we all think that he can get there, which would be, like I said, even if he's never like this incredible top 3 NFL quarterback, if he's top 10, top 12, this offense is going to be very difficult to stop. His on-pace stats, by the way, for everyone, whether you're in the pro-Caleb camp, anti-Caleb camp, I think we would have signed up for most of these stats. Sure, you might have said, well, can we at least be 63, 64%? Sure. 4,000 pass yards, 3-to-1 touchdown ratio. You add 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I think we would have signed up for that, because no Bears quarterback has literally ever done it. So if the accuracy just ticks up a bit, like if he could finish at least 62, 63% this year, my goal going into the season, he was 62.5. I wanted to get up 65 plus. I think part of why you're not in that range is, remember last year, he took so many sacks. This year, he's throwing the ball away more and he's keeping plays alive. He's not taking as many sacks. So, if he was taking more sacks, the completion percentage might be up, but you don't want that. You can't take sacks. So I'd rather see what's happening now, even if it's the completion percentage not being higher, than take a million sacks, because possibly the biggest growth in his game is the pressure to sack rate. I mean, he is improved by like over 200%, because he's cut it more than half based on last year, which is a very, very important stat. You can't take sacks. You can't take sacks. It just kills drives. It's like penalties. All right, we got more to talk about, including what Ben Johnson has been able to do with the running game, which has been a big part of the last month for this team. But I do have to tell you about today's show sponsor. That is PrizePicks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play option, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. By the way, if you go with the power play, certain lineups pay out 2,000 times your entry. That's right, $10 can turn into 20,000. Just take more or less on 2 to 6 player lineups. The stat projections for the players available: yards, rushing, receiving, passing, touchdowns, points, rebounds, assists, and basketball. Here's an example of a 2-player lineup I did recently. More on Dak Prescott's passing yards, more on Jacoby Brissett's passing plus rushing yards. $20 lineup to win $60. Just a standard 2-player power play right there. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, let's talk about the running game. The turnaround since the bye week has been unbelievable. I mean, Ben Johnson's presser, either going into the bye or coming out of the bye, he literally admitted, he was like, I spend more time on the run game. I take this stuff personally. Like, I am frustrated that we are not running the ball the way I know we're capable of. Well, they are now. Look at the transformation. The first month of the year, less than 4 yards per carry. And for the running backs, I want to say it was 3.4 or 3.5. I was tracking it. A lot of their bigger runs were Caleb scrambles. Only 3 rushing touchdowns. Since the bye, on only 19 more carries, 127 to 108. 4 games on each chunk. Weeks 1 through 4, weeks 6 through 9, games 5 through 8, obviously. 5.9 average, 746 yards. You've doubled the rushing touchdowns, and you've rushed for 140 or more yards in 3 of the past 4 games. You did that 0 times in the first 4 games. This rushing attack, it almost feels running back proof right now. Now, you get into muddy waters when you say stuff like that, because, like, you put Jonathan Taylor in this offense right now. I mean, is he rushing for 200 yards a week? Who knows? Like, he's, an elite running back could take this to even the next level. But, like, Kyle Monunga in his first career start, and he deserves a lot of credit. He's dragging defenders, but like he's just dominating. And a big reason for that is the scheme and the offensive line. The offensive line, where we've bitched about the defensive line and the investments and how that's not paid off, this has. Joe Thuney for a 4th-round pick, we said it at the time, just from an intangible standpoint, but to get him in here to just be an anchor for this offensive line, huge. Drew Dahlman in the run game specifically is a very good player. Jonah Jackson, back with Ben Johnson, really struggled in week 1. Since then, he's been rock solid. Darnell Wright, since he's come back from this 1-game absence with the elbow injury, is a dominant tackle. Like, he's going to get paid. He's playing really, really well. And Theo Benedict, look, he's got his flaws. He's not very good in pass pro, but he's mobile, and in the run game, especially out in space, he can make things happen. He put one of those Bengals DBs literally into the bench on a toss crack play. He's effective in the run game. And this group has really gelled since the bye week. It really, really has. They're playing together, the combo blocks. Ben Johnson's finding snaps for Ozzie Trapillo to find some more combination blocks, which has been effective. At least you're getting something out of Ozzie, this season. It's not a complete total waste of a year, despite taking him in the 2nd round. So the tight ends have been great every single week. And look, I was tough on Rome in this past game. He blocked his ass off. There were a couple key runs where he's springing runs loose with his blocking. The receivers have bought in. This running game, man, since the bye week, it's all timing up. The holes are there, and the running backs are they're finding them, and they're seeing a lot of daylight. And just to add to the offense as a whole and how good it's been, again, not perfect, but much better than we're used to in Chicago. Now you got these 2 rookies who have broken out. Kyle Monunga, $176 on the ground, 22 more receiving in this past game against Cincinnati. He looks like a real player. Colston Loveland, we knew it was coming at some point. I don't know if we saw that basically walk-off touchdown happening, but that was a special play. Like, that play is why you take him where you did. Like, Tyler Warren's been the better player this year. He doesn't have that ability on that type of play with the ball in his hands after the catch. Colston Loveland, I expect to be a big part of this thing moving forward. The point of all of this is the ingredients are there. The pieces are there. But you got the coach now. You got the coach who understands play design. You got the coach who understands play calling and play sequencing and pushing the right buttons at the right time. The creativity, 3 trick plays against the Bengals, and it didn't feel like overkill. They were all dialed up at the right time. This offense moving forward could be really good, especially if Caleb Williams continues to progress. So hold your hats, fellas, because the Chicago Bears have a real offense for the first time in our lives. No more trying to win games 17-12. They proved yesterday they can win a shootout. That's another thing about this team. They're winning games in different ways. That's a sign of a team that has a really good chance to compete with just about anybody. How excited are you about the Bears offense right now? Scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being very. I'm in the 9s, man. Ben Johnson knows what the fuck he's doing. Pardon my French. He knows what the hell he is doing, man. He's really, really good. All right. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to this episode of Chicago Bears Now. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and bear down.